Sony's beautiful monster-toppling adventure game Shadow of the Colossus was originally going to feature groups of characters on horseback working to take down the Colossus cooperatively. This proved too taxing for the PS2's hardware, sadly.
Womp, womp, womp.
Welcome to Professional Casual Gamers, the podcast where two friends kick back after a long work week and casually talk about everything gaming. I'm your host, Ralph, joined by my co-host and League of Legends senpai, Alex.
Oh my god. Why, though? Why?
How's you been, Alex?
My god. I was not expecting the schoolgirl little accent there for senpai.
How you doing?
I was doing pretty well, but after hearing that, I'm a little irked out right now.
Irked out? Oh, man.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm good.
That's awesome. Today we're kicking off episode 18. As always, thank you to everyone who listens to our podcast. And if you're tuning in for the very first time, Senpai Alex welcomes you very much.
I was going to say, the listeners, you're the real senpais.
Alex, what kind of degeneracy have you been up to lately?
Oh, man. Well, unfortunately, we don't have an explicit tag on, so I can't go into the kind of degeneracy I've been up to.
You've actually been up to some degenerate things?
Oh, man. Okay. In terms of video games, it's been, kind of interesting week. So, obviously, Persona 5 Royal, been slowly whittling away at that. So generally, like, my work week routine is obviously at work. After that, I'm going to the gym pretty regularly, trying to burn off all the COVID pounds.
Here do you, Alex.
And then after that, might play a game or two of League of Legends. Lately, I've been playing with Ralph a little bit, which we'll get into. And then kind of playing Persona 5 Royal for like 1 or 2 hours before bed. So I'm really whittling away because as we've really hammered home, like, Persona 5 Royal is such a long game, coming out of like 120 to like 140 hours. So at the rate of playing it 1 or 2 hours a day, like, it's really going to take me a while, but so that's fine. Again, awesome story, awesome characters, just fun gameplay too. Like, it kind of does have it all, but again, it's not for everyone because of the massive game length. But if something were like, oh yeah, I definitely want something that's longer to get more bang for your buck, Persona 5 Royal all the way, right?
That's awesome.
I've been playing Final Fantasy IV, which is such a throwback. Such a throwback. It was on. I bought it actually back during the holidays on Steam. So there's several consoles Final Fantasy IV is on. So the Steam version is the one that was on the DS. So if you kind of look at the different versions, the DS version / the one that's on Steam that I bought is the most different one because it uses 3D models opposed to like top-down 2D, like Pokemon-esque models. So yeah, Final Fantasy IV, it's pretty cool. The gameplay is nothing to write home about, just super simple, turn-based. But I like the story a lot. So the last time I beat it was back in high school. Oh my god, I'm like aging myself.
Playing all
like
of the games that you've played before.
I know, but so the thing is, I played the PSP version, which is like purely 2D,
right.
And I saw this on Steam for $8. And there were some like parts about the story that I didn't remember, but I remember like really liking it. So I'm like, okay, sure, like, this is a different version of it. There's some voice acting. They have, was it Yuri Lowenthal, the voice of Spider-Man,
the person that voices everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Who voices like half of the English games. Yeah, half of the English anime games. He's the main character. They have like the voice of Gaara from Naruto. He's one of the guys. So it's cool. Just like hearing these voices being played out on these characters, just in a new light. So yeah, Final Fantasy IV, game length is pretty short, so that's nice.
Oh, really? That's kind of surprising. I'd be expecting it to be like at least 30 hours. Is that
because like role-playing games, especially like Japanese role-playing games, JRPGs, they have this, we'll call it a stigma, that they're like, oh, you need to at least invest 40 hours, right, in order to beat this game. But a lot of the older Final Fantasies, and maybe just the older JRPGs in general, pretty short. I think this one is like 8 to 10 hours.
Well, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, so I'm about halfway through it, and it's generally the story with Final Fantasy IV is you play as this knight. He's a commander of a group of knights. His name is Cecil, which is normally pronounced Cecil, but Square Enix pronounces things how they want sometimes, for better or for worse. So, and what happens is they had to steal this crystal from a village, and he feels very like guilty about it because they went there, they took the crystal, and no one in the village fought back. So they basically just like slaughtered all of them. And he's like, why did this happen? Like, I obviously do not feel great about manslaughter. And so he starts feeling that the king who he reports to has kind of lost his way, is becoming evil, wants to like conquer the world, etc. And so really it's a story of like finding out what you really stand for, protecting your values, and doing the right thing. So pretty fun game, fun characters, fun narrative. Yeah. So if you have a few hours to kill, if you're looking for like an old school Final Fantasy game to as maybe a way of jumping on the series, because Final Fantasy 16 is on its way, kind of. I would recommend Final Fantasy 4. Very not graphically demanding game.
You're playing on Steam, right?
I'm playing on my laptop, which is far from a gaming laptop.
Right. For sure. Yeah, on my end, I am doing some Quest VR stuff. I'm still really in love with my Quest 2. I actually just recently got the cord that plugs into my PC. I initially was playing Quest games wirelessly, which you can technically do with a little bit of finagling. But I really couldn't handle the latency issues. I think there's something wrong with like the Wi-Fi that I'm using. Because you're supposed to use a 5-band Wi-Fi, but my router uses both 2.5 and 5 gigahertz. So I think it switches between the two. So that's why it's a little bit wonky. So I just opted into using the Oculus Link. So I'm using that. I haven't had a chance to fully play it yet.
How much did that peripheral accessory cost?
I don't want to say because it's actually really expensive and I feel guilty for buying it. So this peripheral is a USB-C cord to USB-C. It's very long, but it was $80.
Oh god, that feels bad.
Right.
And did it need to be like this specific cord?
You can technically get a cheaper one, but I wanted to get the Quest one because it's long, and then 2, it would have Quest integration within it. Because I was always concerned that if I got like a third-party version,
right, just like on Amazon,
right. So if I got a third-party version of the Oculus Link, I was concerned that it wouldn't be able to transfer data fast enough, and so that's with VR games is you want to make sure that the latency is very low. So I just opted in for the brand name one because I wanted to have the best experience for my PC.
It seems like you're using your Quest almost daily, it seems like. Totally so you're definitely getting your money's worth.
Right. So I did jump into some Half-Life Alyx. I'm not going to talk about it because I haven't really played that much because Alex over here,
dude, this Alex, I hate you. You're cheating on emotional cheating once again.
Made me feel guilty for playing my video games, the video games I want to play, and he's like, "No, you can't play it yet." So I'm going to shelf that for a little bit. I did buy it because it was on sale for the holiday sale on Steam. So I just ended up picking it up because I knew I was going to buy it eventually. The things that I have been playing on the Quest are the fitness stuff. So I'm still playing Fit XR. It's like Beat Saber, but boxing. It's really fun. It's really cool. But I just recently got this new game called Thrill of the Fight. And wow, it really kicked my butt. It's really good. I'm thoroughly enjoying that game. One thing about it is that I kept on looking online about the best boxing games in VR, and this one kept on resurfacing for all of the Reddits and the forums that I see. The reason being is that they said the Thrill of the Fight is probably one of the most realistic boxing games you can get on VR compared to anything that's out on the market right now. I started realizing that because when I went on the purchase page before I could buy it, the Quest store asked me, "Hey, before you buy this, this game requires a 6.5 foot by 6.5 foot play space." So,
Oh, that's nice that it tells you that ahead of time.
right.
So
So
you
it's
don't
not
like punch your TV.
right. It's not the most expensive game. It was $10, and it's totally worth it.
Uh-huh. Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah,
because I saw your listeners, he was Facebook streaming it briefly, like some of his playthrough, and it looked like a pretty polished game.
yeah. It's really good. Um, the thing about this game is that it's room scale, so it's really exciting. What that means is that you can move around freely within a play space, and it really gives that strong sense of immersion in virtual reality because you're not just, hey, like you have to look forward, right? This one is you get to walk around as much as you want as long as you have the play space that it requires.
Yeah.
The reason I really enjoyed this game is that I've been doing the Fit XR boxing stuff for a while, and it's good. It definitely makes you sore. But the thrill of the fight, what I've noticed is that I did 2 spars, and that was the first time that I played it. And I for listeners, if you didn't know about this about me, is that when before this COVID stuff, my workout of choice was actually like boxing. I didn't spar or anything like that, but I did go to like different gyms to just, you know, work out around a heavy bag and things like that. So that was kind of
Nice.
my workout of choice. So FitXR was fine. It's really good. It's really fun. The issue with it is that it doesn't really work the right muscle groups. It doesn't feel right, if that makes sense. So your jabs are fine, your crosses are fine, but the uppercuts and the hooks, they feel really weird to do because you have to do them in a very specific way. And at certain points, I kind of lazily do them, so I'm not doing them correctly. But in the thrill of the fight, the game that I just recently bought, the real boxing sparring game, I noticed that this was a little bit more realistic just because of the different muscle groups that felt sore the next morning.
Okay. That's a really unique way to like measure how realistic it is in a VR game.
Right. So
What
like
muscle? What hurts afterwards?
So like my shoulders and my back are super sore. My core is a little bit sore, and the muscles like around my like on the sides of my chest, I forgot what they're called, are super sore, as well as my core, like my
Mm-hmm.
obliques. The reason being is that if you don't know, typically when you do a hook, you a proper hook, you're supposed to actually turn your body. The
Right.
reason being
Right.
is that in order to have like a stronger sense of power when you do a hook, is you're using your full body mass to add some momentum and weight behind your punches. And so when I was doing the thrill of the fight, I was thinking to myself, I'm fighting for real, right? So I'm twisting and turning and blocking the entire time, and it literally kicked my butt. I was so tired after it, and I'm still sore. And I worked out on Thursday. So it's a really fun experience. If you do have a Quest VR, it's totally worth the $10. Like that's a drop in the bucket for the type of experience that you're getting. It's really fun. Can't wait
Nice.
to jump in once I'm not sore anymore. And I actually would love you to check it out, Alex. You lose your stuff because what makes this experience super fun is that you're like in a ring with another like NPC or fighter, and you're boxing, and you actually have to aim your punches either to their face, to their gut, and they're blocking your punches. And another thing that you do in boxing to kind of create openings for you is to rotate around them. And because it's room scale, you're able to do that. So you can walk around this person. It's really fun. It's really great.
Oh, yeah. So it really takes advantage of that ability to move around the play space.
Right.
That's
And
awesome.
it feels super immersive. So it's totally worth the time and the money. The other
Yeah.
thing
I'm always just so like enthralled to hear about the progression of technology in the VR space because it's really like the sky is the limit with
future is now,
how
Alex.
great the games can be.
The future is now. You definitely need to check
Yeah,
it out.
exactly. It is.
The other
Need
thing
that
that
PSVR too.
I don't know, man. I think the Quest. I think the Quest is the VR console to beat. Honestly,
Right now, yeah.
I just don't know what PSVR 2 can do to really compete with the Quest, because you can connect the Quest to a stronger PC. It's a standalone VR game. Unless the PSVR can pull off something like that, I don't think I would want a PSVR 2. Like, honestly, other than the exclusives, but Quest has their own.
It's really just it come back. It always comes back to the exclusives, which we'll kind of get back to in some of the later news. But yeah.
The other thing that I've been playing, and obviously it's a topic of discussion for me and Alex as well, is we've been playing League of Legends. Because of because of last week's episode, Alex got me into League of Legends again, and I'm hooked. I'm hooked on the game.
He really is. Like we we talked about last week in our episode, we did a Cyberpunk 2077 review, which I was planning on editing last night after one game of League of Legends, but Ralph just kept saying, "Hey man, one more game." It's like Super Smash Bros. Just like one more game over and over.
20 to 40 minutes each.
Yeah, exactly. But it was like it's so much fun. Like I can't even like be mad about it. It's always a good time playing that game with friends.
Yeah. So hot takes from my experience with League of Legends. Really enjoying it. It definitely is the type of game that will get you hooked immediately. Specifically for someone like me that has had a background with League of Legends, it was really easy to jump back in because I already know the core basics to the game. The big pain points right now is not understanding the different champions and what they do, because so many champions have been added, and it's just been such a positive experience for me in the last couple of days. Usually with League of Legends, what makes it or breaks it for people is just the big learning curve at the beginning. And since I don't necessarily have that because I used to play League before, I'm just jumping in and having a great time already. So it's a good time.
Totally. And I will say, kind of add on that point with the learning curve, I think the idea that, hey, it's hard to play against all of these 100+ champions because I don't know what they do. I think that's kind of exciting that there is this much stuff to learn. And the idea that like, I'm probably going to fall in love with the play style of at least like a handful of these champions. And like, when I find them, like, that's when I'm really going to like kick into high gear with this game and like really thoroughly like look forward to playing it. And I mean, I have some of those champions too that like I can always fall back on, have fun with. I'm sure you do too. Yeah. And it's exciting to know that there might be more out there, you know?
Yeah, and the other thing for me as a lapsed player of League of Legends, it's really exciting for me to find these new champions that are interesting to me. Before the podcast, Alex and I were talking about different champions that I might potentially try out. And I'm so excited because there's so many champions that I haven't had the chance to play yet or understand. I started even watching the videos again just so that I can understand the basics of the champions. And there's just so much to learn about the game. And Alex is right, because this is a new season, there's so many things up in the air. Like a meta hasn't been made yet. So it like there is kind of a meta in the game, but like a full meta.
Yeah, it's the meta and like different like theory crafting. Like it's always growing, progressing, changing. So nothing is ever set in stone. And then when it does, there's a patch that's released 2 weeks later that throws a wrench into that formula.
Right. So I don't feel too far behind. Granted, I'm not doing ranked yet, and I'm not touching that for a while. But
which is fine.
I'm getting there too. Like I'm starting to get that ranked itch already. And I'm not, honestly, I know that I'm not prepared for ranked play in League, but it's one of those things where it is fun to win in League. And yes, it is fun to, even if you lose, but there's just something different about ranked where your blood is boiling and then your hands are sweaty. And you know that like, if you don't do your job correctly within the game for your team, that's on you. And your team is in a severe disadvantage. So
yeah, there's more on the line. The stakes are higher for sure.
Yeah. So how's it been for you teaching me to play League again?
Honestly, like it's fun. And then even like when I'm talking to you about like good habits, good fundamentals to have while playing, it's like a nice reminder to myself, because it's just one of those things where it's like, good at giving advice, but then like, do you always follow the advice that you give? And the answer to me is like, no. Like, do I always buy like a controller pink ward when I'm playing? No. But should I? Yes. So like some of the stuff I tell you is it's a good like, hey, Alex, you should definitely be doing that too. One thing I did want to point out with League of Legends, I feel like what it's known for, like one of the things it's like really known for is having this super toxic community.
You're not wrong.
And when I'm playing with you, I haven't seen that at all with like the normal games. In ranked games, it's kind of different because again,
we saw that one
the stakes are higher. What was that? Sorry.
I saw that one person last night.
Yeah, where the game was over and they wanted to leave.
Yeah, they're like, I can't carry all of you. I'm like, you're not that good.
Yeah.
One.
Right. But I mean, like that's super mild.
Right.
So I mean, I was just gonna ask you, since you've come back, what's been your experience with like the League community? Is it better or worse than you remember?
So let me explain this. So when I left the League community, I was playing ranked. So
Right.
it's a very different experience. Even at the time I was leaving, ranked was norms or normal games, which are unranked games, didn't have that many stakes. Once you were level 30, like people had that understanding at the time. Yeah, you'll have that person that's kind of being mean or being a dick like here and there, but usually like
That's just them as a person.
That's a normal kind of experience. So me not playing into ranked yet, I haven't really seen that toxicity yet, except that one person like last night, but that wasn't even like a big deal. And like being a past League of Legends player, being part of that community a while back, like I don't know, like 5-6 years ago, I've already generated an understanding not to look at chat unless it's important.
Yeah.
So if something was said to me or something was said about my play, like typically I don't look at chat. Like I only look at chat when something positive happens on the team, because I know it's either
Pentakill.
right. Or if there's a ping that happens on the screen.
Cool. Yeah, so I guess point being, listeners, if you are on the fence about playing League or, giving it a shot, but the thing that's holding you back is the community. I think in terms of like just, playing the game, getting familiar with it, doing unranked, which you have to do in the beginning, I think no one in the community will be, that terrible for you.
Yeah. You should add Alex and I on League, and then you guys can play with us.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, message us on socials or shoot us an email for our in-game names. And yeah, I'd be down to play with some fans. That sounds like a fun time.
We're actually going to play after this, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
On to the next topic at hand. We're going to talk a little bit about news. So buckle up. There's a lot this week.
Buckle up.
Buckaroo.
There is a lot, yeah.
So the U.S. consumers spent record amounts on video games in 2020, NPD reports. Spending on video games set a new record of $56.9 billion in 2020.
Wow.
In the U.S. alone, according to the new NPD Group report, a 27% increase compared to 2019. Although last year saw the release of the PS5, last year being 2020, and new Xbox consoles, it was Nintendo's Switch that took the crown as the best-selling platform over the course of the year. It was number one in terms of both dollar sales and units sold. The PS5 was the second best-selling console in terms of dollar sales, while the PS4 was second in terms of units sold. Alex, with the increased spending on video games, is this a trend that games will be the leisure activity of choice in the future?
Well, I also remember seeing an article saying that like around 50% of Americans at one point last year like turned to video games.
Remember, I'm pretty sure that counts mobile games too. So,
okay, yeah. To be totally fair, I did not read the article, so I don't know if that means like they turned to video games once and then we're done, or if they were like X amount of hours a week. But I think regardless, even if it is like a one and done thing, just the fact that half the nation turned to video games during COVID is amazing, right?
Well, that's
it shows
also, like, related to the news that we just talked about, right? Like
exactly, yeah, that's why I'm bringing up.
27% increase is huge.
Yeah. So is this the activity, the leisure activity of choice in the future? I think it shows that a lot of people are willing to give it a shot. Obviously, there's like Nintendo. it's something that everyone recognizes is like a nice family fun console. They can always turn to it without, being too invested in the video game ecosystem. It's, hey, we've got the Nintendo Switch. We can enjoy it for a little bit, whatever. I can enjoy it. My kids can enjoy it. It's fun for everyone.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to say that it is becoming more popular, especially with like VR. That's a new hot cutting edge piece of tech and interest piece for people, families in general. So I would say, yes, I do think it is going to be the leisure activity of choice in the future.
Yeah, because I was thinking of, does this take up oxygen from like movies or TV shows or reading books? Like you could read 13 Sentinels instead. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
In a video
Cone.
game form. But like, I think, yeah, I do totally agree with that. I'm not sure if the video game industry is going to bust eventually. Like, I don't know if people are going to get tired of video games. Do you ever foresee yourself getting tired of playing games, or do you think this is going to be like 80-year-old Alex,
80-year-old Alex,
just,
man,
playing the next new hotness from CD Projekt Red? Is that still happening?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think if both of us stop playing video games at some point, like something drastic has gone down in our lives. We're like, honestly, even if we're not able to like use our hands, eventually that might not matter to play video games because VR. Right. So I think the game industry it's innovating. It's iterating on itself and becoming better and better. And on top of that, just on a fundamental level, the games are always different. People want to use, some people, what they want to use their games as a nice creative medium to tell a story, a very interesting story. And there will always be listeners and people who want to experience that. So I think as long as there's people making games, there will be people who want to play them.
Yeah. And then my other follow-up question to this, which I thought was kind of interesting when I read this part of the news, is where is Microsoft in all of this? In a record-breaking year, Microsoft wasn't mentioned at all during this report. I'm sure it was like within the actual report, but when the news was being reported, no mention of Microsoft, right? So should Microsoft fans be concerned that it was beat out by PS4 as second place for most units sold? It's just crazy to me.
It's crazy.
On a launch year for a new Xbox console, that the news is being sucked up by PS5 or PlayStation,
Sony,
or Sony
in general, and Sony and Nintendo, right?
So then it's not overtly said, but I'm assuming Xbox was third.
I hope so. Console. At least maybe the PS2 was third.
But it's concerning, right? Like I don't know if this is a good sign, because I feel like with launches and game consoles, it starts to steamroll at the beginning. So whoever gets a huge leap in unit sales at the start of a console generation usually ends up on top at the end of it.
Right. And I know it was generally difficult to obtain a Series X or Series S. Part of that just being scalpers. That's
right.
kind of the name. That's been the name of the game.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the PS5 was notably like way more difficult.
Right. I think in the news or on social media, there's so much more people saying, "Man, I cannot get a PS5. I want this PS5." And granted, I haven't tried to get an Xbox Series S or X, but I don't think it's that much difficult to get those consoles as much as it is to get a PS5.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And you're right. Like just through like social media and word of mouth, the difficulty of securing a PS5 has just been way more in the news, the hustle and bustle, than obtaining a Series X or S.
Yeah, I really think it was really detrimental that Microsoft didn't launch with any games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because
and I mean, kind of like beating a dead horse, I feel like, but we always talk about like what's going on with Microsoft. Like, are they gonna release any awesome games soon? Like, what's going on with the fans? Are they gonna jump ship? And honestly, so shout out to our buddy Justin, who reached out to us, new professionally casual fan.
What's up, Justin?
And yeah, I was briefly messaging him about some stuff that he's playing, and he said he's on Game Pass, super busy, just with work, life, wife, whatever. And I said, hey man, try to get that PS5, man. This is where all the good games are. Just being my normal shifty Sony fanboy self. Yeah, I'm loud and proud as a Sony fanboy. And he said for his gaming needs, Game Pass is totally perfect. And that really drives home the point that I've kind of had about Microsoft in general is the people who are happy with Game Pass as offerings and the games that offers, like, they're good, right?
Yeah.
And they're in that ecosystem. They might have friends who are also in the Microsoft ecosystem, and they're fine with that. And honestly, there is nothing wrong with being happy with
what you have,
Xbox and their systems, their games, like whatever products they're offering. Because honestly, like, Game Pass it's stellar. Right, like Game Pass is freaking amazing. You're on it as well, not exactly for Xbox, but for PC. So I mean, I don't blame anyone, for disliking Xbox. But to go back, like the Game Pass is available on Xbox One, not even the Series X or S, and also PC. There might not be a huge reason to get the Series X or S. So
I do have a note about that later on in the podcast. But I do want to note about this news. I don't believe subscriptions were factored in. I think if subscriptions were factored in, this might be a different conversation.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. Like active Game Pass users or something.
Right. On the topic of new games, PlayStation Snap's trailer dropped. And a launch
Pokemon
date
Snap.
PlayStation.
PlayStation, yeah.
Pokemon Snap's trailer dropped and a launch date was announced. Thanks, Alex. A new Pokemon Snap, a sequel to 1999's N64 classic.
Doesn't that take you back?
With taking pictures of Pokemon, is coming to Nintendo Switch on April 30th. First and foremost, hate the name. I just want to know.
Pokemon Snap? Oh, like new Pokemon Snap? Yeah,
why?
It's lazy.
Nintendo has the worst naming conventions, but, well, maybe not. Xbox has the worst naming conventions.
Series X, Series S.
New Pokemon Snap, terrible name. But on that note, Alex, are you excited for this game?
Okay. 27-year-old Alex is not remotely excited for this game.
Almost 30-year-old Alex is not excited.
Get out of here. Stop. No. Not like this. I saw gray hair. I think I have 2 gray hairs now.
Nah, dude, you have great hair.
Yes.
Great hair when you
I obviously have great hair, Ralph.
Wow, okay.
Anyways, so I actually, when the original Pokemon Snap came out, like you said, in 1999, dude, that game was my jam. It was like everyone's jam. I feel like everyone who played it, like who grew up with it, loved it. Because Pokemon, again, like this is when it was becoming more popular out in the West, here in the West at least. And then you have this game where like you're first person, totally immersed, like taking pictures of the Pokemon. It's a new way to view the world. Like I freaking loved it. I was all about it. And then in college, on the Wii, they had Pokemon Snap on Virtual Console. Is that what it's called?
Maybe, yeah. I believe so.
Yeah, and like the Wii Shop, cue the Wii Shop channel music. You could download Pokemon Snap. And then, so I was like super excited about that. So like, we downloaded it. I played it for like 10 minutes. I'm like, this game sucks. This is so boring. Why did I ever like it? So as a 20, and then now obviously I'm like 10 years older. I am like just not excited for this game. Like I definitely, even if it was like $20, I don't think I'd buy it just because I don't think I'd get any enjoyment of it.
Well, it's going to be $60 probably. So that's going to be crazy.
Yeah. Like 60 or $50. Yeah. So I think like kids would really like this. But someone who like grew up with Pokemon, like here I am now, I don't see myself being excited for this game.
Yeah.
But like if I had a kid, I would buy it for them.
I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I'm genuinely surprised they didn't change the formula for Pokemon Snap. And maybe it's because Nintendo is really risk averse when it comes to their games.
Yeah.
They don't really change much about their games whenever they do stuff. It's typically they.
I mean,
make
especially with the Pokemon
franchise.
games. Although, we talked about Pokemon being an independent
Right.
studio.
Like a second
But yeah,
party.
we see very little deviation typically.
But I'm very surprised that this is how they made the game again, because it's if people didn't see the trailer, it's very similar to the old Pokemon Snap game where you're on rails. You throw either an apple or you throw, I forgot what it was, like a rock to get some Pokemon's attention, and then take some photos and create some instances within the world to take some of the photos. So I was kind of expecting a kind of limited open world game where you could go into biomes and walk around and find Pokemon and be stealthy, like kind of a safari photographer.
Metal Gear meets Pokemon Snap.
Kind of, yeah, where
crawling around in the tall grass.
right, so that you can take some photos. And I'm just surprised that they didn't go that route. Because the hardware should be able to handle that, right? So it's just surprising that the scope is very limited to what they had before. Because they already have Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, I don't know if this is actually a thing, but I feel like Pokemon Go has kind of ruined the magic that Pokemon Snap once had.
Ruined the magic?
Yeah, Pokemon, I don't know. There's some like cool like novelty, like, oh yeah, like seeing the Pokemon in the wild and taking their pictures. But with Pokemon Go, like, we see the Pokemon in the wild, but it's just like our real world. And like you see them out and about. Obviously it's different, but I feel like it's more immersive.
It's a little janky.
For them, yeah. And Pokemon Snap, I mean, I don't know, maybe just going back from like the AR technology that Pokemon Go has, it just seems like a step back in some regard. I don't know how you feel about that.
I don't know. I think Pokemon Snap fits a different mold than the Pokemon Go picture thing.
Sure.
With the Pokemon Go pictures, they're typically limited animation. They're the battle animations. You can walk around the Pokemon when you take photos of them in the real world. And usually it's like, oh, look at this Pikachu next to a trash can.
Yeah, they're like just hanging out on my kitchen table or something.
Right. At this point with Pokemon Go photos, like, I typically only take photos when it's an event, i.e. when I'm with people, like Pokemon Go Fest, or when you're going to a different place to take some photos. The other things with Pokemon Go, when it comes to photos, they have like these tasks to take photos of Pokemon, and it's super annoying, and I'm super lazy with it. So it's not as exciting. With Pokemon Snap, I think what makes it exciting is that you get to see different Pokemon interact. Right, so like Heracross and the Pinsir fighting. You'll see like Wooper like playing with a Quagsire. That's, I think, what makes Pokemon Snap interesting. It's just a bummer that all of it is on rails for me personally.
I'm limited mobility. Yeah,
I'm not excited for this game at all. And I know it's fun to try and figure out how to create the different engagements within the world, but I don't know, as an adult, I don't know how enticing it would be for me to go through a world over and over and over again just to figure out that one interaction that you missed like 6 different times ago. I don't know.
Yeah, so personally, I don't think I would play this. But like as a kid, like same with like the real life Mario Kart thing that they had, where like you set up the tracks. Like I could totally see myself as a kid.
I could see myself as an adult wanting that.
Okay.
I totally want that.
Okay, well, me personally, as a kid, I would freaking love that to the moon and back. But yeah, just right now doesn't really seem to pique my interest. I don't know.
For sure. On the note of gigantic franchises, Ubisoft is making an open world Star Wars game. Ubisoft announced that its Swedish studio Massive Entertainment is making an open world game that's set in the Star Wars universe. So, Alex, are you excited to play something like this? Isn't it weird that Disney is letting two different companies work on Star Wars
A little
licenses?
bit.
I think this implies that Disney will not renew the Star Wars exclusivity deal with EA. So, is it something that you're excited to play? I know that you played that Jedi Fallen Order. Is that the right one?
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order, which was it was EA, but it was Respawn Entertainment.
Right. It's like a Souls game. But yeah,
and
like
I think they did a really great job with that. I think they did a great job at exemplifying and like really hammering down the Star Wars universe, which I mean, yeah, like the lightsabers and like the Force, those are all really cool. And obviously everyone loves those, but like the Star Wars universe itself, there's just like a sort of magic to it, right? And that game, it did a really great job of like harmonizing all the great things that are involved with the Star Wars movies and putting it into a game itself. So I'm always hyped to like hear about a Star Wars game because
are you a Star Wars fan?
I'm a Star Wars fan. I grew up with it, and I think that's why. So you and like the rest of the world, like Harry Potter, like you all like go to bat for it, you love it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it, but like I didn't grow up with it, so I don't have an attachment. But like with Star Wars, I grew up with it, so like I love it. So I'm always down to check out whatever game there will be, except for Battlefront 2 at launch because horrible for a multitude of reasons.
Well, you also hate shooters, so
yeah, but you could play as like Jedi or Sith,
I guess. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, like the Battlefront games they're fine. But yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm unfamiliar with Massive Entertainment. I don't know if you have any more information about them.
Massive made Division 1 and Division 2, so they primarily work on like open world shooters. So I have a feeling if we're gonna go with their pedigree, I have a feeling that you're probably gonna be playing some form of bounty hunter in the game.
Okay. I mean, if they let me create my own Jedi and in this like open world esque kind of game, like I would pre-order that.
I could totally see that
as soon as I had the chance, I would get that.
And Massive is a very good developer. They're a very strong developer in what they do. I know that this is not going to games as a service. I don't believe it will be. I don't know if the statement's been made, but Massive Entertainment is a very good game developer. They have some really talented people there, so I would not be surprised if this was something to really keep your eye on.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye out for this. I mean, if it is a game as a service like Division 1 and 2, if done right, like if it does hook my attention in and I want to play it regularly, like I'm totally down for that. I think we're due for like a really good Star Wars open world game. I think that'd be fantastic.
I think there's a really good future.
It's got the world already ingrained, like built. So I think a game that utilizes that well would be awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for the future. Speaking of the future, Sony third-party games were accidentally leaked. They accidentally leaked their release windows at CES. During their presentation this year, Sony accidentally shared some release windows for third-party partners on their presentation. So I'm just going to list them out here so that people know what they are. Pragmata by Capcom is now going to be releasing in 2023. It was initially stated in 2022. Ghostwire Tokyo is releasing October 2021. Project Athea by Square Enix, that cool RPG that I'm super excited about, is slated to come out on January 2022. Solar Ash, June 2021. Kena, March 2021. Stray, October 2021. Little Devil Inside, July 2021. And I just added this on here. This was part of the news, but since we're talking about dates, Hogwarts Legacy was also delayed from 2021 to 2022. I know this is all tentative, but what do you think of these release schedules so far? Remember, we are also expecting Ratchet & Clank, Horizon 2, and God of War in 2021. This Sony slate, what do you think about it?
I mean, as far as like the delays that some of these have been pushed back, like it's nothing crazy, right? I think we should if we had any sort of expectation of like a strict release date, I think just, given global circumstances, we should be more lax on that. As far as the leak, it is what it is. I know, like, if you watch the video on YouTube, they've taken those out.
Right.
So I think that leads me to believe like it actually was an accident. It wasn't like a shadow drop or anything like that. Or like
I would not be surprised if these games get delayed further.
You mean like Ratchet and Clank, God of War?
Yeah, not even Ratchet and Clank or God of War, like Pragmata or Ghostwire Tokyo, Project Athia. Honestly, I just can't see them in 2022 for some reason. And I know that that's like an entire year of development, but people, even across 2020, people are still trying to figure out how to develop remotely, right? So some studios that are really big and have a much larger scope are going to have a harder time with that than smaller indie devs. So those bigger games, I think, are going to get pushed a little bit further. The one game that I'm kind of excited about is Little Devil Inside, that tiny little indie game. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if people are interested about it, and I'm curious to see it. I like the art style and I like the weird story it seems to have. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. Obviously,
dude, I am. Oh, sorry, finish.
No worries. Obviously, okay. I'm very excited for Hogwarts Legacy. I'm a Hogwarts stan. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
I'm just saying I'm so excited for Kena.
Yeah, Kena looks cool.
It looks so cool. Yeah, they I watched like a short developer interview about it, and they said they're going for like a Zelda-esque game, and you can definitely see that in the gameplay, like third-person action adventure. There's a focus on like dodging, parrying, like using spells and stuff like that. So it looks really fun. Unfortunately, it's going to be they said it's going to be like 10 to 12 hours.
That's not bad, dude.
But they also said it won't be a like $60 or $70 price tag. So I would imagine like 40 or 50, which is cool.
I don't mind 10 to 12 hour games. I don't know why that's become such a big stigma. I feel like it's because games are so expensive and people are trying to, get their money's worth out of their games. But 10 or 12 hours sounds like a great time to me.
Okay, so my thing is, if I really love a game, I'm just sad when it ends. Yeah. So in that case, I'd be like, man, I wish it was longer, just because like they knocked it out of the park, right?
For sure. Well, yeah, speaking of newly released and newly announced games, Bethesda is making an Indiana Jones game. What? Bethesda's next project is a big surprise. The publisher teased a new Indiana Jones games. While we don't know anything about the title just yet, the announcement was simply a brief teaser video. It's being developed by Machine Games, the studio behind the Wolfenstein franchise. Alex, what kind of game do you think this will be?
So I think the kind of gut response answer anyone would give this is, oh, it's going to be kind of like Uncharted or Tomb Raider, because those seem to be, at least inspired by Indiana Jones to some extent. Some sort of like adventure, action, exploration, third person kind of game. And who knows if it will be like that. But then you see, this is the same studio behind Wolfenstein. And you're like, huh.
First person.
Yeah, interesting, because those are very contrasting types of games. So, I would imagine it'd be something like an Uncharted, maybe with some more gunplay. But I've never seen an Indiana Jones movie.
What?
I know he has a whip. I don't know if he uses guns or like a revolver or something.
That's so funny.
Doesn't he have like a little Indian companion?
I don't know. I'm not going to cross this bridge. Bridge alone.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, I actually think it's going to be a shooter. Wolfenstein games are typically like very story driven and story based, and I would not be surprised if this is going to be an Indiana Jones shooter with some light puzzle elements. So I think they're going to stick with what they know, just with a new coat of paint.
Okay, and I mean in Uncharted, it's a shooter to some extent,
right? Yeah, but I think what makes it different is that I think Sony and Square Enix have the Uncharted Tomb Raider thing locked down. I think Bethesda's trying to differentiate themselves from what that will be. I don't know if Bethesda is willing to. Maybe they're just going to use Unreal Engine or Unity, but I don't know if they are willing to use a new graphics engine for this game or build something up for this game. So
Yeah,
I think
I mean, regardless, it's really cool news. I don't think anyone was really expecting it. So yeah, definitely. I'm curious to see where they go with this. A lot of potential.
Right, but here's my weird thing though. Are you excited about an Indiana Jones game? Like I don't know. Maybe I'm just like I'm not necessarily a big Indiana Jones fan. The one that I remember is the one with Shia LaBeouf, and that was terrible.
Yeah, everyone kind of talked all the smack about that movie, so there's really nothing to write home about.
Yeah, so like I don't know. Maybe this is for like the older crowd or people that are very fond of these type of games or that franchise, but it's just one of those things where I feel like it is one of those franchises that have been lost in time, and I don't feel excited about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I kind of feel like I wish I was into that series. Right. Well, I don't know, maybe not, but
I feel like you're the same way. Like I feel the same vibe from you where, that's cool. It's cool that Indiana Jones is getting a game, but you don't sound excited for it at all too. So
yeah, I think like, so Indiana Jones and like James Bond, right, the 007 series, those are kind of similar in my eyes in that
but the difference
they're
is
older than us.
The difference is James Bond is still relevant.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like they're both kind of dated. They're before us. And then they tried to like resurface it, with like Daniel Craig, and then this new one with Shia LaBeouf, new in parentheses. And the Shia LaBeouf one with Indiana Jones, like that flopped.
Yeah.
Right. But the Daniel Craig series, like with James Bond, like that really took off. And so that's like, I kind of wish like I want to watch the older James Bond movies because it seems cool.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to do that with the older Indiana Jones movies. But the thing is, like, I don't know, like the series, it's kind of dead.
Alex just wants to know if there's a brown kid that follows him around.
I could have sworn there was, or maybe I'm just like making that up. I don't know.
Oh man. Speaking of new weird brown thing, that's not brown at all. I don't have a segue for this at all. Nvidia announces a $329 GeForce RTX 3060. A lot of words there, bunch of mumbo jumbo. But it's going to be available in February. So if you guys are excited, get ready to do your pre-orders unless you want to cry.
Or get a script and buy 10 and then scalp them.
Yeah. While the company only just announced the RTX 3060 Ti, like I said, a lot of words, mumbo jumbo, for $399 last month. This latest RTX 360 edition is designed to replace the aging GTX 1060 Pascal cards
words
that many PC games are still using today. Sure. Whatever. I don't know these words. It's a new Nvidia GTX card, RTX card. It's cheaper than the other ones. Looks good. It runs games fine, and it looks fine. My question for you, Alex, it's time. With this new generation of graphics cards, not just this one, but all the other ones, like because I think this is the big giant leap between the different generations. Will this entice you to build your very first gaming PC, or at least look for a gaming PC that has cards?
I've been enticed to build a gaming PC for a hot second, right? Kind of for a while. But the thing that always just pushes me back is just the PlayStation exclusives, right? Until those are on PC as well, I'll probably always be a console gamer.
Yeah, I think what is also interesting going on to PC is that as console players, we are so not brainwashed, but we are so like
elitist.
Not even that. It's
PC Master is.
Not that. We're so like flooded with messaging that this is exclusive for PlayStation. This is exclusive for Xbox, that we're so like attached to those games. When you're on PC, it's so much more broad because all PCs are PCs and play whatever you want on your PCs. But one thing that console players I don't think realize is that there are a bunch of games that come out on PC that you don't get to play on console.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So there are games that yes, some of them that become really successful on PC eventually make it on console. Like Temtem was just a PC game, right?
Yeah.
And now that it's on console, and as we know, you really enjoyed that game. You could have been playing that a while back. Um, but there are a bunch of PC games that you have no experience in that you probably would enjoy if you had a PC. You just don't know about it because you're so engrossed in the console platforms.
Yeah. No, I totally acknowledge that. And, Game Pass is also available on PC, which makes it, again, very enticing as well. It's just, I don't want to own a PS5 and a PC because to have a legit gaming PC that's, can run everything that I would want it to, I would need to drop like 1.5K. Right. Then I would feel like, okay, I need to be getting my money's worth.
You'd probably need to drop more, honestly. PC gaming, as it's weird because everyone always said, "Oh, PC is better because you get to do what you want and you can modify it as much as you want." But PC gaming is very expensive.
Right.
That's what they don't tell you. Is you get to modify it as much as you want. Buying a console is probably cheaper because you get to run all of the new games for 4 or 5 years for what, $400. And with the PC, you need like $2,000, $3,000 if you want to be
yeah. So I guess I was lowballing right at 1.5K, but it needs to be more. I will say once you're there, like once you have overcome that barrier of entry,
you're good.
Gaming is cheaper, probably.
Yeah, because there's a lot more
Steam sales are rampant.
Yeah,
Game Pass is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good time. You should consider it because I think regardless of like how you feel about it, it is something to consider now because with these new generation of graphics cards, this would probably set you up for the next 10 years.
10 years, wow. Yeah, 330 for like this one with, fantastic ray tracing. That really doesn't sound like a bad deal at all.
Yeah. Cuz remember, what do you call it, with ray tracing on consoles, like it's still really taxing. Like Spider-Man Miles Morales, you couldn't run 60 with ray tracing on at launch, right? So, and I'm sure the PC games would be able to do that. So,
yeah, it's like I said, I have been enticed. I think I will definitely make that jump when more PlayStation exclusives have just moved on to PC, and some have.
Right, Horizon,
like Death Stranding.
Yeah, Horizon, Death Stranding.
Yeah.
What do you call it? One of my favorite games, like a while back, the Quantic Dream game. I forgot what it was. The one with the robots.
Oh, Detroit Become
Human. Like I know that game got a lot of flack, but I actually thoroughly enjoyed it, and that's on PC now too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So it's definitely, there is a shift, and once it's just more of a norm. I think I will jump the ship to PC. I'll become a PC Master Race boy with you.
Speaking of games and PCs, we're moving on to budget gaming. Xbox, the Medium. This is what I was talking about earlier on the podcast. This game is going to be launching. It was supposed to be a launch game for the Xbox Series X and S. It's going to be on Game Pass, obviously, because that was their promise, on PC and Series X and S only. It launches on 1/28. So you'll be able to play that on Game Pass. And now there's kind of a reason to have Game Pass on your new shiny Xbox console. Additionally, they added Torchlight 3 to Game Pass, so that's super cool. It's like a Diablo type game.
Yeah. It's got a nice fan base, actually, the Torchlight series.
Yeah, for sure. I tried it. It's fine. I don't like it. It's too cartoony. I don't like the game. But it's free, so you should check it out. PlayStation's holiday sale, for some reason, lasted 300 years.
It's a really good sale, though.
It ends on 119. I think they added some more games because there's a new sale on here that I did not see when this first launched in December. Assassin's Creed Legendary Collection is $60. I believe it's $199 value. And so it's $60. It's a
lot of games.
Yeah. So it comes with, if you want to just buy this and don't play anything else for the rest of the year, here's your bundle. Comes with Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Rogue Remastered, Assassin's Creed Unity, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Assassin's Creed Origins, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Ooh, buddy.
There's a lot of games there. So $60 for all those games. I think that's a pretty solid deal. Next is No Man's Sky. Terrible game that launched, but now it's perfect, and a lot of people love it now. It's $30. Nintendo's New Year sale. Actually, some good games here for once. So I actually listed a couple of good ones. Immortals Phoenix Rising is $40. That game just launched, so it's $40, so that's not bad. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is $28. Mario Maker 2 is $42. Ori and the Will of the Wisp is $26. And a short shout out here, Killer Queen Black is $10. If people don't know, Killer Queen is like an arcade game that stemmed from Chicago arcades, and they've ported it onto Nintendo consoles. So that's super cool. So you guys should check it out if you have a chance.
Yeah, it's like a fun little multiplayer game.
It's kind of a MOBA. Kind of feels like a MOBA, honestly. So that's cool.
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
Yeah. Steam, Red Dead Redemption is $40. And Epic Game Store, speaking of, Battlefront 2, the Star Wars game, is free this couple of days. Thank you for sticking around for our 18th episode of Professionally Casual Gamers. We had a lot of fun hanging out with each other, and we hope you did too. If you have any discussion topics or questions, send it over on professionallycasualgamers@gmail.com or on our Instagram/Twitter @professionallycasualgamers. If you do, we might have something special for you for sending something to us, be it a question or just some comments. See you next week. Keep it casual.
Nice.